we'll talk more about this later. For now, we have to adjust gears to talk about the match ahead of us for what's bound to be a very silly match.
Oh,
I think that's,
It's what I would
Stage
say.
you gotta make sure you get that stage pick, because I'm certain you may not want to go to stage like Battlefield against Incineroar, but who knows? Maybe something like Small Battlefield, as you mentioned prior. Maybe if PS2 is on the line, PS2 would be going for it. It is going to be Small Battlefield.
Oh, alright, so a very dangerous selection. I feel like both of these characters excel super well, but I think we've seen already that kagexice can perform extremely well on this stage. So the onus is on Shaine to see how well they can adapt to hero buttons.
I love how Kage just recognizes the situation that he's put himself in so quickly. He finds Accelerado, his game plan entirely changes. He dashes a lot more, he throws out level 1 Frizz, and the quickest of falling up bears that was entirely safe. Like, there's a reason that he's got such a lead at the start of this game, but leads can evaporate against Incineroar.
The instant landing to whoosh as soon as Zoom put him in front of Incineroar. Oh, this is actually just going to be a cartoon, a set ahead of us.
Let's see if the Wily Coyote can catch the Roadrunner, or will he fall victim to yet another one of his own tricks.
DNA's Winners Finals, sponsored by Acme.
We don't got any anvils, but we've got everything else and the kitchen sink.
We also saw our first lull and whip land of the night. Not yet, though. Oh, down tilt, I think was a really good check on jab 2.
He's still fine, but the dash attack not hitting leads because it was too early, but the Zapple wraps it up. Dragon Quest spell names, why do you have to do this?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it stacked with you. In most situations, I'm keeping like a little booklet on hand. Like, I'm using a cheat sheet, dude. I don't play Dragon Quest. I know the series has been around longer than I've been alive, but I am not trying to remember 30 some odd very silly names.
They have kind of a method to the madness. Oftentimes the LE moniker will be thrown on to only level 1, 2 spells. Meanwhile, the Ka is used for level 3 spells. I took a Latin, it just makes sense to me.
Etsu, Hatchet Man. Alright, dash attack gets it done, and even though Incineroar has 107 on the block, this is still super duper doable for Shaine to tie up. It's just gonna take a few really good situations.
That's a pretty good one, but not for Shaine.
No, sir. Oh, that play right below the ledge can get so disastrous for both of these characters, and I feel like Shaine can try to take advantage of those situations too with the amount of rising nairs we've seen, and also willingness to crush chop even in dangerous situations. There's a lot of ways that this could be going wrong for kagexice, but he's just been playing this game so well. He's just got to clean it on up. Put an end to this one, put a blow on it if he needs to.
The spells have been so primed, but this is kind of where Incineroar starts to get a little bit scary. You can't close out this stock with this ledge trap. Letting Incineroar come back to stage will be spooky, yet still surviving to that up throw. He's been at 64% for a hot minute now.
Oh, that Delta's not going to check cross chop. Not yet. You know, it's kind of funny, the idea of Hero trying to kill with a throw. Oh, but he went way deep for it, and is actually going to get rewarded for going off stage and getting really frisky with Hero on low mana. He was not in a position, I think, to even so much as get a zoom off if he wanted.
I'm not saying there's a... I'm not
I'll say it for you. No, there you go. Psych up tilt, once again, sealing the deal for kagexice. But I would like to point out he took that game 1 from an even game state.
It really was. 44, max rage, you're definitely spooked, which is why I think if we get it may be in the final replay, I'm not certain, but we saw Kage put put Shaine off stage. And once Kage was able to get back to one of these battlefield platforms, he said, "Nope, I'm gone. I'm not even messing with this potential scrap fest that's happening. I'm going to underneath the platform. I'm going under the stage. I'm going where it's safe because I know you've been very frequently jumping at me." Which is pretty big and only feeds into Kage's game plan as it has been throughout pretty much every game that I've seen him play. He likes to stay on the ground. He likes to be able to utilize the dashing tilts and the dashing moves that Ultimate was showcasing at its very start. Just being able to get into a full run and throw out any button is really good when you have a wide arcing anti-air like Hero's up tilt.
Moving into a different stage, I think, is going to be really precarious for Shaine because you don't want to stay on small battlefield after that performance. Moving to a traditional battlefield is going to be even bigger of a mess. Hero, I feel, can play the big stages rather well, so you're going to have to really get frisky. I think a move to either FD or Smashville, if those stages are allotted, would be to the best benefit. Otherwise, I don't really know. I think he just has to worry about outplaying Kage.
He does run it straight back. I'm curious to know what the bans would be, and whether or not Kage or whether or not Shaine just considers small battlefield like basically the purest neutral that they can get. That's respectable. If you just got to play better sometimes, at the end of the day, matchups only can lead so far, and you do have to outplay your opponent.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been emphasizing it multiple times this evening. Like, Incineroar really does bring out the human factor in a lot of matchups. And while Hero is pretty difficult to narrow down matchup-wise, I do feel like he has the upper hand here. He's got a lot of disjoints to fool around with. Clearly, no shortage of messing around with Incineroar on stage or off stage. But being careful of resource management is the biggest aspect of that control. Playing around off stage without mana, best way to die out. Thankfully, Kaboom saves the day, and we are bringing ourselves right back to an even game.
He blocked the first hit, too. He blocked the incoming hit and then jumped out of shield. No!
That's the dangerous one, too. Oh, we all saw another instance of air dodging killing, but no, this time, Kage keeping themselves together.
That's it.
Yep, that's a boosted revenge. That's off the ledge. That's dead. We'll see you later.
Just, like, it only takes a couple of hits. Like, he's Incineroar's WrestleMania cat. Like, he may be down, but he's never out as long as he can find a couple of strong starters. I never really considered dash attack to be one of them, but hey, he got 40 off of it, so that's pretty good.
Oh, this is another instance where being mindful of the mana would have been so much more helpful to Shaine there. We saw a lot of menu coming up. We saw a lot of the failed spell casting. He had no mana. Those were all bluffs. And they ended up working out beautifully for Kage because he found his mark of up tilt once again.
Uh-oh, downer?
Nah, we teched those.
Teched it! What a god! That's a really hard tech.
Oh. There's no lag off of that landing. And that was just a very messy interaction. Coming out of this scramble alive going to be hard for Shaine, but he manages to do it and grabbed right out of menu select. Good DI's keeping him alive, but now they're both sitting around the 100 mark. But Trumbear gets it done. Game 2 handedly going in favor of Shaine.
Now you really have a couple extra things to think about on both cases. Now Kage, as you mentioned it prior, Kage has to be a little bit more careful with his mana management. Throughout Game 1, he would prefer to recover with just the level 1 whoosh or the level 2 swoosh to conserve as much mana as possible instead of committing to the full level 3, which can be easily edge guarded. But getting greedy like that really bit him in the butt in this game. Like the spell failing because a couple spells failing because of lack of mana, or menu options unaccessible because of lack of mana, really hurt him in that game. And then if your opponent shows you that they can ledge jump as fast as that, that's an extra little weight that's going to be on your mind, which may lead to just preemptive, buffered neutral get-ups a lot more, which is free real estate for Incineroar.
Yeah, no, that's a dangerous situation to be sitting in. But coming into this game 3, just mindfulness of resource management from both ends, I think, is going to do a world of good. For one thing, I think Shaine can be finding harder punishes if he realizes that a lot of the whiffed casts and a lot of the menu bringing up is just a bluff when they're low on mana. Because once you're low on, like, really low on mana, the most you can do is zoom, Metal Slash, I think. Metal Slash might still even be a bit up there. Or Hocus Pocus. And Hocus Pocus, on top of being able to cast literally anything, also has its own host of spells that it can cast, majority of which are a detriment to hero.
You can also cast Kamikaze. Kamikaze only costs 1 mana.
Ah, yes, you're right. Although in the last stock situation, I don't recommend it.
No, probably. But I mean, you run that risk with Hocus Pocus the same way. It can do any of your menu spells, plus any of the positive or negative item effects.
Yeah, no, off the top of my head, I got nothing in front of me checking for this one. You got the Mega Mushroom, which, by the way, hysterical. I'm very slowly learning that a lot of heroes' moves when he has a Mega Mushroom effect hit below the ledge. The Tiny Mushroom, which alters the hurt box for a hero in remarkable ways, both when he's shrinking down and coming back up.
I'm just saying, try hitting a hero when he has Accelerado Mini Mushroom. Just no, you're not hitting that guy.
It's hilarious. It's honestly, it's the closest you get to casual smash in a tournament setting. What else? You could lose all your mana. You could regain all your mana. You can take damage over time. You can go invisible.
You can go to sleep.
You can put yourself to sleep, and you can cast time slow on you. Not like Witch Time, though. More akin to when you pick up the stopwatch item.
Yeah, it's the same kind of effect, but on yourself. And it lasts for the full duration, so you basically die.
Yeah, for those who are not familiar with the items in this game,
which are very funny, and I would recommend.
I don't blame you. There's some people who don't actively play the game for any casual purposes and may not be familiar with the effects of the items. That's fine. I don't blame you. But the stopwatch effect is hysterical, and casting it actually does... It's not the worst thing hero can get, is what I'll tell you. Bringing up situations where it's useful will leave us here all day. Like, it's actually obnoxious how many different things can happen because of heroes' weird spells. But the point is that if you're low on mana, your options aren't the greatest. So being aware of that as Incineroar, you know, oh, well, I'll just go in. If you're the hero, well, all of a sudden your bluffs don't work, you just have to start relying on your normals, which we've seen time and time again Kage get away with. He'll have his up tilt ready and waiting when he has no mana, and if Shaine catches on, the rest of this set could be very dangerous.
Instead of the small battlefield, we instead get traditional battlefield, which seems pretty good for the kind of game plan that Kage has been doing. I mean, we talked at length about Hocus Pocus and the hilarity that can ensue, but Kage is a lot more close to the chest with his game plan. While he spends mana very quickly, it's usually from a safe distance, and always keeping in mind what he can get away with, which is why dash dancing has been such a prominent part of his game, but he's only got less than 10 mana right now. Luckily that grab was fully ready for him to replenish just that extra bit.
It's actually one of the things about Hero that I really enjoy from a character design perspective, and that's not a sentence you'll hear from me often. The way that he generates and utilizes mana, I think, is fantastically balanced, because it does not incentivize heroes sitting there. He has to be initiated in a lot of situations, and he's rather slow with very slow, predictable buttons, so that's not the best place for him to be at. But having that little bit of mana can go such a long way, as we're seeing now with these constant resets to neutral.
Yeah, while having 100 mana gives you access to things like full power magic burst, just by having 20 or 30, most of your spells are live, and you still have that extra benefit. But the extra flexibility that comes with all of the bluffs of the menu. But The Alolan Whip, a tried and true constant when you play against Incineroar, and this rage is certainly something to be scared of. I wonder if that was intentional.
It's always weird when you see Incineroars purposely go for the up throw. Typically, it's like some sort of DI mix-up. Although one thing that has definitely been intentional is these options to go for like the further ends of cross chop for more reckless landings. That little bit of damage helps a long way here.
Oh, he got hit by the... So, Frizzle is actually 2 fireballs, so you can only get hit by one of them, and as you saw that it got clipped by the ending of... Or Shaine got clipped despite his roll going through the first fireball, which... just hero things. Just hero things.
Yeah, no, you know, it's funny. For about a month or so, I was very casually playing hero against a lot of my friends. Like, if they needed warm-up in tournament, or if we were just, you know, futzing around and playing casually. And it's one of those things where, you know, I justify it by, I need to study this character. He can do so many things, like dying off the left plus really quickly. And familiarizing myself with all of the fantastic things that Hero can do has been such an experience. Kagexice's performance tonight is so gratifying, and remember when I said no armor matters? Counters don't matter either. Whack just checks to make sure it landed its mark. It doesn't care how much damage you take. You're going down.
Now, it was in Kage's favor. Like, at around 55%, Whack and Thwack become a coin flip, so at 74, it is slightly in Kage's favor to kill, but still, that's kind of, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and just that extra little bit of, like, annoyance, that little bit of frustration will help when your opponent just keeps on jumping in and leaves yourself prone to any of these buffed up swings that Kage was throwing around.
I really want to start seeing Shaine go for revenge to maneuver Kaboom more effectively. Ooh, rare instance of seeing the whiff.
It doesn't matter. Okay, he closes it out with that strong hit in there. It looked like there was a little bit of a spike, and which caused the whiff on the Alolan Whip, but wrapping it up perfectly fine, so it didn't affect perhaps the outcome of the game. And it's been pretty rare to see either player go out for even just drop zone edge guards with a lingering button. We've seen it a couple times with the Kaswoosh from Kage, but both of them have been played very, very close to the chest and much more focused on ledge trapping and two-framing instead of anything else.
Yeah, no, there really wasn't anything else that Kage could have done there. It was either zoom or go for whoosh. So, knowing that, he had free reign to just drop down and do something because there was not enough mana for swoosh or swoosh. That being said, and I know it's part of Chris's typical show flow to just bring all of the KOs across in between, but seeing the Whack on revenge again is just killing me. Oh, it's so funny.
He's a bag of tricks.
He is. I told you, man. This wasn't just clown school. This is clown university.
I do like that they made the two magicians in Smash Ultimate feel fundamentally different. Like Robin plays totally separate from how Hero plays. For better or for worse, depending on your opinions of both characters. But it's interesting to see that kind of dynamic of basically the same archetype done in fundamentally different ways. The same thing goes for characters like Rosalina and Ice Climbers. They're puppet characters, but done on the opposite sides of the spectrum. And I think that's a really cool bit that comes with the design of 80+ characters, is that you can look at majority of them and find something unique or something that separates one of them from any other, even if it's just looking at Lucina as compared to Chrom, who are very, very straightforward.
Well said.
Character design, smile.
It is. You know, it's a fun time because one thing I think escapes a lot of people's minds, and I kind of touched on this in the last game, and even the last in-between game. This game isn't just designed for competitive play. This game is designed for when you have 6 people on Suzaku Castle with stamina mode on, and everyone's giant with bunny hoods. This game is also accommodated for someone who only plays against level 2 CPUs. There's just a lot of things that have to be accounted for in character design in Ultimate, and in the grand scheme of things, we are playing a very niche iteration of Smash when it comes down to how many factors we're boiling down. So some things don't really work as intended. This matchup? I don't know. This matchup kind of is like a grand send-off to that notion. How do you really account for all of the things Hero does? And how do you account for it with a character that's as slow as molasses but hits like a truck?
It's an ever-evolving question, as with most matchups that feel pretty even. Like, you can play the matchup in a million different ways, and what it comes down to can largely be, like, and may sound weird, but how much... Oh, no!
He did it!
And he's gone.
Whip. He's so goddamn dead, Ubel! I'm so happy I saw it. Alright, that's a wrap. That's a wrap, everybody.
It's over. But he can... This is why I mentioned how fast Revenge is earlier. Frame 3 counter, which means when you see certain spells, you can just do it on reaction. Even online, frame 3 is mighty quick. That was... Now that needs to go on Twitter.
I brought that up like an hour and a half ago, and I'm so happy it happened. Chekhov's Revenge. If a spell can get countered, it will get countered.
Oh, we like to see it.
Alright, well, because of that, we've had a very explosive start to Game 4. And I feel like both these players are sussing out this matchup very well and figuring their ways around what to watch out for, although now Kage has on his mind, I've got heavy hitting buttons. That might come back to bite me if I'm not careful enough.
And his actual stance in gameplay hasn't really changed all that much when after the Alolan, the incident at the beginning, but before that ended up happening, Kage was playing very, very strong, playing around and inside this corner like it was almost a full stage in and of itself. Like, the way he maximizes the space he's allowed, like, it almost mitigates the stage control that Shaine has had throughout this game 4. With that really solid deep edge guard. Again, I mean, you mentioned it prior. Awareness of the lack of mana. He had literally 4 remaining. Go out there, make that swing, but kaboom, cleans up your messes sometimes.
Yeah, almost boosted to Crackle slash leading into that kaboom. That's a hell of a way to end out a stock, and now, just like that, Game 4, it's coming out just as it came in. It's loud and it's rough. Look at this damage right off the bat, but Shaine not showing any signs of slowing down.
Solid parry. And a parry they desperately needed because this juggle did not last with Flame Slash on deck. The crouch! The crouch!
Incinemania's running wild with an incredible Game 4. Shaine's taking Winners Finals 3-1. We'll be getting another dose of this Incineroar over in Grand Finals.
Okay, I want to shout out 2 things. One, up smash was a very, very seldomly picked button. Oh, this is just phenomenal.
Hold on. Chris, can you roll that by one more time? I just want to...
Just want to soak it in.
16.
16.
He died at 16. 19 after the revenge hit.
1095.
Wild. We both got what we wanted, by the way. You got your up smash, I got my Hatchet Man on revenge.
Up smash is a seldomly used button, but when it hits very hard. And just hurtbox shifting is real funny. So I don't know if we'll... Did we get it in this clip? I don't know, it'd be at last talk if anything. We might get it. Yeah, Psych Up. This up tilt, he dodges it by down tilting. Just Hurtbox shifting is part of the game we play, and some characters abuse it more than others, even in surprising ways. I mean, Pikachu's the most infamous, but even characters like the Aegis duo, Mithra's Crouch is really good, particularly after the Photon Edge. Surprisingly short, but I mean, those kind of low hits matter even more if you have a really good crouch to go with it, and anti-airs don't work against being a little small.